when you and I originally talked about doing this show, talking about being unsettled and trying to balance peace and desire. How does that fit into your life, and what does that mean to you?
The unsettled piece is like always chasing more. There's always more to what we can do. Like I look at it as the person that works at the fast food place. I just walked into Kava today in Encinitas, and most of those workers just you could tell like aren't happy with what they're doing. They're unsettled with what they're doing. They know it's not fulfilling them. It's not bringing happiness and joy and contentment to their life. They're not reaching to what their potential is. They're just kind of settling for what's easy. But with you and I being high achievers, it's kind of against the grain to do something like that. Where for me, it's always I need to be doing something. I need to be doing something that's going to challenge me and motivate me and put me out of my comfort zone. So playing the sport I do at the level I'm playing at is continuously pushing that boundary. Every day I'm getting pushed out of my comfort zone. I'm becoming pretty unsettled. Like at the end of the day, I'm more settled because I've gotten through that bout of uncomfortability. So I can rest assured at the end of the night that I've I've chopped wood and I've carried water is what our coach would put the bow on. That's what our culture is based upon, is chop wood, carry water. And if you know the book, you understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's just a story of a kid that grew up in Western culture and went to Japan and figured out that life isn't easy and you need to work to get results. It's not like you pick it up and you learn it first thing. You have to go through the trials and the tribulations, the hardship, the uncomfortability to get to where you want to be. Because to become a samurai warrior, it takes 10 years, which is how long it took the kid to fully get there. And the first year was just him kind of contemplating if this is the right decision or not. But I love the book. It's really helpful for anyone that wants to fall in love with a process. And for me, my process is what I do every day on a field and like what I have to do before I even get to the field. And then when I get to the field, my processes of passing and being in a flow state and breath work and mindfulness and practicing being present. So there's a lot that we can unpack there. But for me and what I'm currently doing with playing rugby, it's just like I want to be the best player in the world eventually. Um, I want to be the best player on the USA team. Um, I mean, that's not really being like a lot of people would think that that's selfish, but if I can be the best player, then I can make everyone else around me be that much better, and I can make our team much better. But that's just the ambition and drive that I possess. Like I think we can get pretty content in just getting there and that being enough. But the legends of the game, they always push boundaries. And I feel like this next block I'm going into, block 3, is our competition block. I want to push that narrative to be that guy that picks up the teammate and says, "Hey, we need to go harder in this bout because it's going to make us better when we play. We can go 60% now and we can both be comfortable, but we're the top 15 players in the US. This isn't a place where we can be comfortable and take average. It's just not acceptable." And I think for the next 3 weeks that I'm going to be going into, that's going to be my main focus. And I have a mentor, Danny Barrett, legend of the game, and he's really wanting to have me push that intensity in practice, and just bring that out in the rest of people. Because most people have that there, but it's just the new guy bringing that extra energy and that juice to the environment.
Well, I want to unpack a couple things there. So, you, as a rugby player, You and I met at Grand Canyon University. You were the captain of the team. You and I hit it off right away, and I want to get into that in a couple of minutes. But first, I want to talk about two things. One is the inherent stress and pressure of sports is what have you done for me lately, right? And that's something you and I have constantly talked about of you have to make sure that you're constantly improving, which includes some of the dips, right? But it's like that stop market graph, right? You want to be on the upswing in
Hmm.
an inherently stressful what have you done for me lately, but also understanding that the mentality required is the process mentality that you want to be the best player, but understanding that even if you get to be the best player, there's still somebody that could come steal your job the very next day. Talk to me
Correct.
about that.
Well, I mean, when you're in an environment where your success is so results based, it can be daunting. It's really new for me because I've only had a contract for a month. So being with other teams and I was pro 8 months ago to a year. I played pro right out of college, so I knew what that was like. I've gone through it, but now with the national team, it's on a whole nother level because you have the world's eyes on you. You don't just have domestic eyes on you. You have the globe. So there's a little bit more added stress if you let it get to that point where for me I've gone through enough um enough setbacks and enough uncomfortability to harness that, process it, and then let it go. So I think a lot of what it comes down to is how you process and handle stress and emotions. So if you're kind of scatterbrained like myself, it's a little bit more difficult. So I've had to practice more mindfulness. So out on a field, there's certain things that I do to ground myself. So with that being said, everyone's different. What works for me is positive affirmations, single handedly, positive affirmations. So if I can get my brain staying confident, next job, be present in the job I'm currently doing. This is all things that we work together on. Notes that you have, I can go back to the text and it's like verbatim, but it's not letting the moment get bigger than you because we play the game because we love the game. And if we take the game and think it's any more than what it is, then it becomes not fun. And then it becomes a job, and that job becomes stressful. And what happens under stress and something that you don't enjoy, you don't get the results that you're supposed to because you're not in flow. And we can break down flow and what that means because, yeah, that's different for everyone. And I feel it's in a state of pure fluidity to its purest form where you're interlinked with the people next to you and you're interlinked with your mind, body, and your spirit. Where you're out on a field, you feel the cleats, like you feel the ground connect to your cleat when you step, like you feel the tackle that you just made, you feel the try, the big score, the crowd, like you can feel the energy of everyone around you and the spectators. But when an athlete can tap into that, they're so deadly. And a lot of that comes from confidence. So for me, that's been um, a part of my game that I've really had to work on. And that comes from getting bigger, like becoming more fast, being a better tackler, um, being a more fit player around the park, lasting longer on the field, knowing every rule, understanding the ref's psychology, understanding the players around me and what they're able. That just becomes being a student of the game, and that's just skill. And skill takes long, long, long time. It's not talent, it's skill. And I mean, the best in the world have had to work the hardest to get to where they are, and that's they're working their skill, their craft. And because I've played the sport for so long, I've just it's second nature a lot of the things, but at the highest level, it just comes down to the minute things, the 1% factors. You know, and at that level, a lot of it's culture because everyone's good at that point. a lot of it just comes back to what is the culture? What do we believe in? What is the North Star? What is our standard? What do we accept on a daily basis? How do we treat each other? How do we talk to the staff? All the way down to the bare bones. Like, how do we show up to train? What are we doing first thing in the morning? Are we talking to our roommates? Are we putting good water in our body? Are we fueling ourselves appropriately so we can bring our best version of ourselves to training? So, being a student on and off the field and having a balance and, not letting your mind and body go elsewhere and always staying in that place of flow where your battery is always topped off. Because when we go throughout a day of training where we're training 3 times a day and you're not fueling correctly and you had a stressor first thing in the morning because you looked at something stupid on social media, your battery's now depleted. For me, I just try to avoid these stressors, these added stressors. Like, when I first got there, I was trying to juggle work and training. So I'd look at my phone and stuff for solar because I'm still in the solar business. I'm still managing accounts, and I'm seeing a text message from a homeowner saying like we're not ready to do it, like we don't want to pull the trigger. And I'm like, ah. And now I'm off to a bad start where I don't need that. I'm getting paid to be here full time as an athlete. I'm not a solar salesman anymore. That has to separate. That's after rugby. So that's the professionalism that, like, just a little minute thing that I had to learn because I felt it was affecting me. I was bringing it into training, this little added stressor. So, like, I don't look at my Instagram, no social media, no texting with anyone that's gonna bring me down. I need positivity as much as I can get.
And
I
that's
need,
so that's interesting. That's something I want to dive into, and I apologize to
yeah,
to
no,
cut
no,
you
no,
off, but so when we talk about positivity, but especially we get into like you mentioned mindfulness, you mentioned positive affirmations. Those are the things that really work for you. I want to talk about those things because some of those things, especially mindfulness, it has become really big. It's become a
yep,
buzzword. It's become pop psychology. Let's talk about what that actually means because I think it happened with resilience 10 years ago. Resilience was the word, and it is now it's become this diluted thing that means so many different things to so many different people. Let's talk about when you say mindfulness, what do you mean by it, and how do you do it, and what is the result that you get from it?
hmm, you know, defining mindfulness, I think it can be a little bit difficult, but what I believe it to be is to be in a state of um, pure tranquility where you're in your present mind, you're observing what's going on around you, but you're not consumed by it. It's not overtaking your central nervous system. It's not putting any stress on the body. It's allowing the body to really tap into what's going on around us. Because we observe millions and millions of things every day, but we only process so many things because there's so much that the brain can actually handle. But
I would agree with
for
that. Yes.
yeah, for me, like, and obviously because all the special forces stuff and all the things that you have to do. There's a million things going on at once. For me, on a rugby field and off the rugby field, I have to separate them. So on a rugby field, I'm making sure that, like, if I'm in the middle of the field, I'm not thinking. I'm just doing. That's mindfulness on a field for me. Because when I start thinking, then it takes me out of the mindfulness. Now I'm, well, what's that guy gonna do? If I get the ball and step this way, no, it's just plain rugby. I already know what to do, but once I start thinking, then it overtakes my job and the flow off the field is taking a 5 to 10 minute nap, journaling, breath work, sitting in the sauna, something that's going to bring me back. I mean, for those of you that don't sauna, get in a sauna 3 days a week. It will actually change your freaking life. It's incredible what that thing does. And there's so much studies backing it. Yeah, you can go in there and with cotton underwear, it's going to be a little bit better than sitting in polyester underwear. Yes, you can put eucalyptus in there. Yes, you can take vitamin C and binders beforehand. You can get super dialed like I did, but just getting in it a few times a day. But these certain things that ground our mind are so important, especially for high achievers like you and I. My brain, like I'm going back to, is a lot. It's a lot. It's fast paced. So when I did testing, like lab testing, my adrenal glands, which basically what the adrenals do is they regulate your stress hormone. My adrenals were shot. Like not super bad, but not great. And I mean, I have it right here. Adrenal Soothe. I take it every morning. It's just something, a few herbs in there. It helps me regulate. But aside from supplementation, it's like reading. It's doing things that I don't enjoy doing, but I need it. I need the grounding effect because I train and then I'm like checking a couple messages and I'm going to lunch and I'm just it's all constant. The brain actually needs rest and time throughout the day, not just sleep.
Yeah, the brain
Sleep
is
is
an organ, it's a muscle just like everything else. If you don't
yeah,
provide it rest, you're going to overwork it. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So you and I have had lots of conversations, and that's why I wanted to bring you on and have this conversation. I remember going back to some of the earlier conversations, were some of the simpler conversations where it was, how do I quiet my mind? And one of my favorite sayings, one of my favorite foundational statements is, when life is chaotic, the answer is always to simplify. And that's essentially what you're talking about is, being out on the pitch. If you've trained appropriately, your thinking should be minimal. And
Yeah.
people who haven't been in that position don't understand what that means, but you practice it so much that most of what you're doing is on autopilot. You're going to pay attention to the flow, you're going to understand, you're going to be able to try to simplify, and you're going to adapt. But most of what you're going to do is based off of instinct, based on off of what you're reading of what's happening. And you're only able to do that because you're mindfulness, being present in the moment, not worrying about the play that happened 10 seconds ago. Good or bad doesn't matter. It's in the past. And you
Yep.
can't worry about what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, because that's irrelevant if you don't have the next 10 seconds figured out. And so I think that's where a lot of that power comes from, especially in a sport like rugby that's constantly moving, and it changes so fast. Things could be going your way, and suddenly the tidal wave comes and everything's going against you. And so being present in the moment is going to allow you to do those things. But the other thing that people don't understand is, this is not something that you can just do. It's just like saying, hey, we're going to go out the front door and run a marathon. It's not going to happen. If you haven't trained for months and months and months, you're not going to be able to perform in the moment. And so understanding what it takes to get there, let's talk about that. So talk to me about, how do you, over the last couple of years, how did you prepare so that you can perform that way? Like, you can be mindful in the moment regardless of what's going on. What things led to you to be able to do that?
All right. So October last year, I got surgery on my shoulder, so I was out for 7 months, 8 months. And I did, the PRP, the stem cells, um, the rehab, all the things that you're supposed to do, and I did extra. But when I came off of that, like I was hungry to play the sport again because I've played it for 13 years, 14 years, maybe even longer, honestly. So I was hungry to get on the field, and the USA selector that was at the tournament, that he told me I needed to play in, and if I played good, they would take me to France with the development team. He came up to me, and I mean, I won't repeat it verbatim what I said to him, but he's like, "How do you feel right now?" And I was like, "I want to go. This is being PC. I want to go dominate a human being to the most extreme way I can. Like I want to go be a uncaged monkey on a field and just dominate. Like you can feel it. Like
Love
I'm
it.
taking myself
Yep.
back to that moment.
I
Like
can see it.
it was so real. For 4 games, 5 games I played, I was just like, I want to kill people. And I played the best tournament I've played. I was just all over the place, throwing people around, throwing people off me, throwing them on the ground. Like, just I was all over the place. No, I wasn't fit enough to play a full 14 just because I had come back from a surgery. I'm not in an environment where I'm training. And I mean, sevens athletes are top three most fittest athletes on the planet. And the Olympic studies backed that. From all, I mean, there's other sports that aren't in the Olympics, but the top three sports in the Olympics, rugby was either, I think it was second under boxing. But we are, what it takes to play on a sevens field for 14 minutes is unbelievable what we do. And, when I watch film, I just take it for granted. And then I show the lady, my gal, who just is like, this is ridiculous. But, I played really well. I got the opportunity and I went to France and um, I put on that US jersey. And our first game was against China in a really cool stadium and quite a lot of people there. And I I just had the mentality of I'm just gonna take what I did in that LA tournament and just take it here. Nothing changes. It's just inflict your will, dominate, and be a monster. And that was in my brain, but I'm not letting that get too high. I'm not like freaking beating my chest and like being an imbecile. I'm not letting that energy escape. I'm harnessing that. That's controlled. That's controlled anger. Like a boxer is in their flow beforehand, but they want to kill when they get in the ring. Like you have no other option. Like it's life or death. Yeah, they look cool and like joyful and they're clapping hands with people when they're going out in the ring, but when they get in that ring, they're killing. Uh, Not actually, but the mentality is knock that dude out. So it's the same in rugby. Like when I get out on the field, if someone runs at me, I'm not just gonna let them run by, because then I look like a puss. If you want to be on a team that's respected, defense is what is going to reflect on how the team is and how the individuals are. Because offense is fine. Like you can be a very athletic team like we are, and the results show for themselves. But what separates these teams is how you play defense, how you come off the line, how you make your tackles, how you ruck, how your contest is in the ruck, how your line speed is after that ruck, after 5 phases. How fit are you? How hard do you want to fight? How hard do you want to hit that person on the fifth phase when you're hanging? Like that's what it comes down to is your mentality and how deep rooted the culture is and like what you believe in, like what's going through your mind after 2 minutes 3 minutes of playing defense. Like do you want to go off because you want to fake an injury, or do you want to be dragged off the field because your legs aren't working or you can't breathe anymore?
Well, that's something that maybe, I come from a football background and I didn't really know much about rugby until I hooked up with the team when I was at Grand Canyon. You're on the field all the time, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of like hockey. Like you play offense, then you play defense, offense,
yeah.
defense, and there's no break. And sometimes, and I'm still trying to figure out the rules 3 years later with the team. There's times where you're play and you're doing well and then suddenly there's either a penalty or there's a turnover, and then suddenly you're dropping back and you're playing defense, and it really is that fast. And so you have to be ready to react to anything that's happening on the pitch at any one time.
Hmm.
And I think it's an amazing sport, first of all, and I think it's a growing sport. I still think it's highly underrated in the U.S. Hopefully that's going to change. I was actually just bringing up the USA Rugby match series. They got some things going on in California, Missouri, North Carolina, coming up April, May, July, and the other thing I was looking at is the Rugby World Cup is coming to the United States 2031 and 2033, and we're hoping that this thing is gonna it's gonna catch on. I think that people are becoming interested, but I would love to see it catch on. What I would really like to know is, going back to that idea behind the show of being unsettled and having that desire for peace, but also having that desire for more. What's that like for you? Because I know you come from a very grounded, very a beautiful family. I got a chance to meet your family in San Diego when we played San Diego State a couple years ago when you were still the captain. I got to meet your mom and your dad. They're amazing people. You're very grounded, but yet you have this passion about you. Talk to me about that on the field, off the field, the passion, the desire, the wanting peace, but also wanting more in your life. What's that like for you?
Um, I mean, there's some stuff to unpack there for sure, and emotions come with that because family, yes, means a lot, and you could tell just how my parents are, and yeah, kind of the person how I am, and how I carry myself, and the way I play. It's a lot of passion, and there's emotion behind it. And in the past, like emotion used to get the better of me. It's just the person I am. Like I care a lot. I always wanted to win every race and win everything and try hard in everything my whole life. It's just like that short person mentality esque. Like I was 5 foot 100 pounds my freshman year of high school. Like you have to find a different mentality when you play against dudes way bigger than you and way faster and way more talented and athletically gifted. So for me, life is life. I mean, up until pretty recently, it was just like so ego based, where you're just trying to be the best at everything. You're trying to control everything. You're trying to be the guy all the time. So that kind of to tie that in with my family, like my family are both mom is was a pro volleyball player. Dad was a pro Australian rules football player. So
Which is another beautiful, brutal sport.
I mean, my dad just sent me highlights of him. I mean, he's not like this. He's not egotistical at all. But he found some clips of him playing back in the day, like VCR, old ass. So he sent me this stuff, and he's just like jumping up on people's backs and stuff, and making these big hits. But that sport is crazy. And back in the day, where concussions and all these post traumatic, all these things weren't recognized, that sport is so unhinged. So unhinged. They're flying elbows into people. You're jumping up on people's back. Knees are hitting your head. People are getting knocked out. It's like it's it's nothing like you've ever seen. The sport is so ridiculous. But my parents just, they never forced me to do the extra trainings and, make me show up early. Like they had me just naturally gravitate towards that. Like they didn't have me do that extra stuff. They didn't put the pressure on me. They didn't make me play one sport. My dad wanted me to do every sport. I did all the sports. So I naturally was, competitive my whole life, competitive in everything I did. I always wanted to just be the best and start and just have people watch me. I mean, still to this day, like I love being in the arena and having the eyes on me. I love that. I live for it. It's the best high ever. Getting on a field and hitting someone or scoring or like, you know, winning a really tight game. There's nothing that replicates it. Nothing does. I mean, especially the sport that you've played your whole life, that you put your heart and your soul into. There's nothing like it. You can't describe it. It's euphoric almost. Um, but just growing up, like I've always had the desire to just want to win. Like I freaking hate losing. Hate losing. Sore loser. Like to throwing bags. What's it? Cornhole.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like like I was just playing that on Sunday and I lost to like a 50-year-old dude. I'm like, I shouldn't be losing to a 50-year-old man in cornhole. But it's just that's ingrained in me. It's just how I am. But as I've gotten older, the emotional side of it has tapered down quite a bit. I'm not hoping that person loses. Like I'm talking a fair bit of shit, but I'm also like that was a great throw. Like that was awesome. Because as we get older, like you can't be acting like that. You just can't. On a rugby field, so be it. You know, I'll talk my shit, but I'll also get humbled and I'll also dap up the person who stepped me. Because if you're always being negative and you're always having a negative connotation towards like someone that did something good, no one's gonna like you. You're not liked because people want to pour into the new guy. Like I get helped by a lot of the guys down there, and it's great. I need it, and sometimes I feel like an idiot because I just mess up a drill, and all these guys have been there for a while. But then I go out on a field and get loose, and then I step someone and round, and that person's like dapping me up, dude. That's a great step. You folded me. That was awesome.
That's something I
And I'm like,
always appreciated about rugby that I didn't realize until I got into the culture at GCU is it is one of the roughest sports I've ever been around. I mean, the contact, being down on the sidelines and seeing the contact and watching things happen and just seeing people get blitzed, and then 5 minutes later they're smacking each other, on the back and being like, dude, that was awesome. Like you said, especially after the game, I've been in football games and wrestling matches where there's damn near fighting after the match or after the game. But in rugby, they're like, game's over. That was awesome. Great
yeah.
job. The guy that you were going head to head with, you were crushing and fighting. And it's one of the most respectful sports I've ever been a part of.
hmm Yeah, the camaraderie is nothing like any other sport. Not even, there's nothing to compare it to. I
Yeah.
mean, fighting, like, there's certain guys that'll really, like, hug each other after and after they just try to kill each other. Sometimes you see that. But rugby, it's all the time. Almost every time. Like, when you're growing up, club rugby, you are all eating lunch or dinner after the tournament's over with
That's
the
something
team.
that I thought was really cool at GCU. Anytime there's a game, if the team is able to stay after, coach is ordering pizza and we're going up on
Yep.
the baseball patio and everybody's mingling and both coaches are saying the same thing. You get
Yep.
over there and mingle and you get over there and mingle. They're making it happen because they want to continue that requirement. It's almost a requirement, especially from the older generations. Like,
hmm
no, you will respect this sport.
Yep. Spot on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here? So actually, let's step back a little bit because you and I met. You were captain at GCU Rugby. I was
hmm
teaching sports psychology, and one of your teammates was in my class, and he came in, and he's like, "Dude, you got to come talk to this coach." I said, I don't know anything about rugby. He's not going to want me." And he's like, "Just go talk to him." And apparently, Colin had convinced Coach O, and Coach O at first was like, no, I'm not talking to him. And then he finally was like, he bugged him enough. He says, okay, fine. I'll give him 15 minutes on Friday, but that's it. So I go up and I met Coach, and Coach O just likes to talk. He talked for 40 minutes. I didn't say a word, and he says, "Okay, I'll see you next week." Like, I didn't have to do anything. He talked himself into it. He knew he needed it anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there was some support from Colin and some other people. And then,
Yeah.
we met. You and I hit it off right away because you were just that hungry guy. You were in charge. You knew that it was something that we needed. We needed mental performance. You knew we needed culture, and that's actually where we started most of our work was with the culture. So talk to me about that from your perspective of meeting me and having me join the team. What was like for you, knowing that there was this mental performance coach, whatever that meant for you?
I mean, when I was at St. Mary's, I knew I needed someone like you, which is the school I was at before, just because I'd gone through an injury. I've never gone through an injury in sport before, and I wasn't playing. And there was lapses of just you're not playing, you're not involved. Then you just feel like a little isolated and being the new guy. So it was hard, man. And then COVID hit, and all these other external factors were pouring in, and so I feel like I need to talk to someone. Men have that connotation of seeking help is weak. It's a load of bollocks. Like, most women I know have therapists. I think it's fantastic because the amount of crap that women have to deal with is unbelievable. But for these high achievers, like, I need that. I think every athlete at a high level needs it. High athlete, low athlete, you need a mentor in your life. I mean, I've shouted this guy out multiple times. Ryan Mattias, grassroots. He's from Tucson, Arizona. He went to U of A and then played for the U.S. for many years and was one of the pioneers at SD Legion. He's just given so much back to the game. There's nothing bad I could say about the guy. Everyone loves him. He is just one of those beautiful humans that we get to, we get to have on this planet. He's just, he's a rare dude. But having a mentor is so important to just bounce things off. He was in my position when he was my age, and he had to figure it out. So for me, I want advice. I want advice from you because you have that military background of just discipline and ethics and culture and all the things that encompass that. And then Ryan was my rugby guy. He knew all the paths, the things that I needed to do, the extra skills, the coaches, the avenues, the certain directions I needed to take. So the balance between you and him complemented me so well. And a lot of it was just not taking what I do so serious. Because when I was the captain, I felt like I had so much responsibility and I wanted to take it all on myself and not disperse that, which is the worst thing you can do. Leadership is like a pyramid. You need foundation. So using Jackson Gray, who was the captain when I left, and then using people like Colin, who's played overseas, and we had a guy Jesse Emerson who came from another school who was a great player. We had knowledgeable people in different fields. Like I was the guy that's just gonna push people and be the motivation and the guy that's come from a good school and has a good reputation and has played high level rugby. But you need other people in those other fields to complement what you're doing. It's impossible to man the ship by yourself. You need other people to help. It's the same in business. You have all the other different departments to help the people at the top. It doesn't work, one man team doesn't work. Especially rugby, you go out there with the mentality that you're just gonna do everything on your own. You jeopardize the rest of your team when you have that mentality. And that's what I had to learn when I got to USA is I brought that mentality of being at GCU, having to do everything, make the plays, this and that. When you're at the level that I'm at now, you cost people a lot. You put them in a bad situation. You're going against the grain of how the system is designed to flow. When you, as the individual, try to do your own thing, and it's very difficult to break those habits. Very, very difficult. Because for 3 years when I was at GCU, I just felt like I just had to do those things. Where now I can work off of everyone else that's on the same playing field. I mean, most of the guys there are better than me. Uh, let's get that very straight. But what I do is complimenting everyone else because I have this fresh new energy and I got these, I got this long body of mine, weird, awkward body. I'm hard to tackle. I move differently. I'm very unorthodox. So that's what I bring in my fitness and skills and recently speed, which is pretty incredible what I've been able to do in the gym in my off season and working with people like TJ Moreno, which is the gym that I was training at, and Les Spellman, the speed lab in at the polo fields in Del Mar. And then Egoscu, I've shouted them out before. They're in Del Mar. They use AI to basically put the body back into the alignment that it's supposed to be using just angles and symmetry. And then it spits out corrective exercises. And I've been doing that for a month and it's been monumental. Like
Well, I
the
noticed a big
difference.
difference. I mean, because you and I talked a couple times since you left GCU, and I know one of them was you went the tournament down south where you had a what you called a bad showing, and you needed
Yes.
some help to get out of your own head. And you and I chatted, and I said a few magic words and threw some pigs to the and everything was fine. And and I think that that's amazing because it shows that you've put in the work that you and I could have some of these one-off conversations, but it's not the conversation that fixed the issue. It was the hundreds of hours of work that you put in based off of the conversations that we had that allows you to have a momentary clarity based off of a one conversation. Whereas if I go and I meet somebody I've never met before and we have that same conversation, they're not going to get the same benefit because they haven't put in the work that you've put in over the amount of time that you've put in. And I think that's the most important thing to take from that is you're at a place where you're at not only because of talent, not only because of the desire, but you have trusted the process, you follow the process, and even when you don't feel like it, you follow through. That is where your success comes from. There's a lot of other things that go into it. You've got a great personality, you got a great family that was supportive. You've had your own challenges, but you fought through them. And I think that's the story that matters most. And it's the story that's going to continue on, and all these people that are mattering in your life, that are mentoring you, coaching you, advising you, and providing you with guidance and direction. Ultimately, you're responsible for it. Then that's the key, is you're following through and you're doing the work.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. So where do you go from here?
Well, soon I'll go to bed.
Got to get that rest.
Got to get that rest at early night. I'm up early. Tomorrow's a big day, doing all the things, the training, the recovery, going to a Bloody Creed concert. But where do I go? I have 4 more days until I jump back into camp, block 3, which is our toughest block. So I'll go back to the Olympic Training Center in East Otay, which is where it's located. It's pretty close to the border. Funny enough, we're just out there, kind of rural. But for the next 3 weeks, we are just going to fight, get in the dog cage. We are going to battle. It's called our competitive block. So that's where we're going to see, probably some emotions, people close to breaking. I love that shit. I want to know where people's breaking points. I want to know where mine is. I want to know where I go when I get tired. I want to learn about what's really happening deep in there when I get pushed to the breaking point. That's awesome for me. I love learning. So obsessed with it. Like sometimes I just need to not listen to a podcast when I have the downtime and just like sit and relax and read, like not have something in my ear and like thinking about stuff, or just I can just journal. So the journey to mastery takes a long time, but the more knowledge that you can fill your brain with, and the more you can train your brain, because yes, it's a muscle, and work that muscle. A lot of the guys on the team do Wordle every morning. Like, it's fantastic. We all compete against each other and see who can do it the fastest.
That's awesome.
Another kind of cultural piece there, but we are in really early preseason right now. Believe it or not, we don't start until February, mid-February, just because of how the rankings have shuffled, and we're not in the World Series anymore. We're not in the top 8 in the world. We're in 9th. So we're trying to compete to get back into the HSBC World Series. So we're in a weird spot. We've never been in it before, but we had a coach the year before with a very young team after a lot of the guys left from the Olympics, and it was tough with visas and guys coming in and out and injuries, and there's a lot of things that happen. But there wasn't a culture there, which is a big piece on why they dropped to 9th, because typically we were shuffling between 4 and 6 in the world. Like, we're very, very good, very good, and we have a reputation of being one of the most athletic teams in the world. No, we are not the most skilled, because we did not grow up holding a rugby ball. We grew up holding a football. This is America. We we had a baseball in our hand, or a basketball. Where in Fiji, they had a rugby ball. New Zealand, they had a rugby ball. So you go to play against these teams that have so much more hours on the field with a rugby ball. There's parts of the game we get exposed on, but we make up for it in our athletic ability. So a lot of what Zach Test, our new head coach, is implementing is we need to be better students of the game. How we analyze film, how we break it apart, how our system is, how our structure is, how we're keeping up with the new style of play. learning the rules, making sure you know everything, just being a student. And like I was mentioning before, a lot of how our team has changed is there's no instant gratification anymore. It's the same things every single day. We are all united. We're the same. There's no hierarchy. There's no power trip deal going on. This is a fresh culture. This is as raw as it gets. And I love it because I get to be a part of a, almost a pioneering USA team where we have a coach that played for this team back in the day and took a head knock and almost died playing the sport. The
That's crazy.
guy's passion for the game is unlike anything I've ever seen before. He told us the story of how he got hit and how he almost died, and for 2 years he had no identity because rugby was his identity. And that's something that we've picked apart in our culture meeting is what's your identity? And most teams, most players in a team sport would say, "Oh, I'm a basketball player. I'm a baseball player. I'm a lacrosse player. I'm a water polo player." For most of us, we are mature enough where we knew that being a rugby player isn't our identity. Like for the guys on our team that are married and have kids, like their identity is being a father, being a dad. Mine is it's a little bit mixed. I'm still trying to figure it out, and we're not supposed to have the answer to it yet because this is a meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. But it's something that I've had to chew on and marinate in. Faith in God, faith in the Lord, putting that as my North Star has to be my number one. Because without that, nothing works. There's no flow. There's no life, really. Well, there is, but it's dismal. So if I can put that at the forefront and then let everything else transcend below, I think my life, the pillars are working synergistically. They're in
Nice.
alignment. There's no um, there's no discrepancy in how everything's coordinated. It works. So if I miss one of those pillars, then I feel like there is misalignment. Um, so I have to constantly remind myself, hey, you can't do this by yourself. If you have fear, if you experience these emotions, if you go through these tough things, you cannot fight them because you're only going to work backwards. Where if I can use the spirit, use God, I can use journaling, I can use mentors, I can get out of my own head, then I will be in a much better place. Because we're always gonna feel these emotions and experience hardship. And that player that you played with in high school, unfortunately, just he ended his own life. Like those are conversations that we hear. This is just real life. You know, I'm not gonna bullshit anything, and we all go through hardship. Like life is not easy. Every day is not the same. We are given one life, and what you make of it is your choice. Every
Yes,
day
sir.
isn't created equal. So if you choose to let these things fester and spiral and isolate yourself, you just become worse, and then you go to the doctor, and then you get on the antidepressants, then you're on that forever, and it's a
And it's,
cascading
yeah, it's not a
effect.
solution.
No, it's
Right.
not. It's just um it's an escape.
Right. Well, that's
So
cool, and well said. I mean, because my intent was to give you a little bit of time to answer a couple questions, but you answered them all. And essentially, coming on the show where we're talking about being unsettled, you've hit everything that I could hope that you would in talking about your story, your family, your struggles, your solutions, right? And living, a life that's comfortable for you, that you don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to escape anything, that you're actually living an amazing life that you have chosen and pursuing something that's super passionate for you. And some hard work, a little bit of luck, all the things wrapped into one, and you've been super successful so far. I'm really proud of you. You and I have had a great relationship. We've had great conversations, heart to heart conversations.
Mhm.
Where do I go from here type conversations. And every single one of them, I'm very inspired when I walk away, knowing that, I've got a great relationship with you. I get to watch you uh, continue to grow, make this amazing impression in this sport that you love, leading through heart, leading through your faith, and not giving an inch. And I love every minute of
That's what it is. It's just the love for it, and the love for the game, and love to pass it on to the next generation. Just giving back, always, keeping that as, one of those high pillars in that pyramid that I was talking about. Is we need to give back. It's just like what you're doing. You went through what you needed to go through. Now you're giving back to the next generation and the next group of individuals that are hungry to learn, and aren't guided, that need guidance. There's so many out there that don't have the mentorship and the parents that are teaching them these things that parents are supposed to. And life is tough. It's not fair. Fortunately, I was raised in a nice household, and I didn't experience a lot of. I had my own troubles, but you know this is a place where someone can come and really dive into some really important concepts that they're not learning in school. They're not being exposed to in the team settings. They don't have a good coach. They don't have a coach that learned the things that we've learned. So you go to training, you're learning from a coach that doesn't know shit. So what do you learn? And
it.
then you go to another club, and it's the same thing. So for all these people that can come here and learn valuable, tangible life lessons to take on to what they're doing.
Outstanding. Yeah, man, that's great. I love the conversation. I appreciate you giving me some time, Tucker Trickey. And so you are with USA Rugby, and
Yep.
that's what's affectionately known as the USA Eagles, correct?
Yes.
Tracking. Okay, so we're looking forward to great things. You've got your training coming up, and you're going to be hitting spring. Sorry, yeah, spring and summer is you guys are
Mhm.
going to be playing. We got GCU Rugby Labor Day weekend. In a couple weeks, we got camp coming up. And ironically, not ironically, I actually set it up that next week I'm actually talking to Jackson Gray, who was
Fantastic.
yeah, he was your protege. Took
Yep.
over captain for 2 years at GCU Rugby, so I'm going to be chatting with him too. So
Yep.
we're going to continue the rugby conversation, hear about it from his perspective. But I appreciate your time. This has been
Yep.
amazing. Tucker Trickey playing for USA Rugby, up and coming talent. We're looking forward to it, man. I'm so excited. Thanks a lot for your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Neil. It's always a pleasure.